We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for the Top Gun Sales Boot Camp training. And let's start off with what we're start off with every day now going forward is our numbers, our points, our numbers for the previous days. Today's Monday, so it'd be Friday. So, Nora, what you got from your numbers?
I'm not sure on specifically just Friday, but I was at 32% for the week.
Okay. And you might do that. Do you look at when you look at a day, like if you look at this is really important for all of you. If you look at Friday, you might have been up, like, wow, I had a great Friday. But when you look at the week, you might have been down. You might have had a sucky week. When you look at the month, you might be up. When you look at the quarter, you might be down. So in data, the vantage point, the perspective that you have of that data is going to be important. And so daily, you want to be looking at daily, but you also want to keep an eye on what's happening the week and what's happening the month and what's happening the quarter and what's happening the year. So good, good. Anything from that studying of that data that's going to change your behavior this week?
Yeah, 'cause like my phone calls were up,
Okay.
but because I didn't talk to as many people, my
Nice.
points were down.
Nice.
So that
See,
does make
that's
a
what I
big
love about
difference.
the PPA. Because you can have in sales, you can go ahead and feel like you have a good day, but you really didn't. You can feel like you had a bad day, but you had a good day. Because our feelings are connected very strongly often to the quantity or like a conversation. We might have a great conversation. Well, did it turn into money? Is it going to turn into money? Is it going to turn into sales? Is it going to, or did we just have a fun conversation? Well, in business, you got to have profitable conversations. And so good. So what that does is it shows me that you're studying. Like you can't come up with that without studying. So you're studying your numbers. You're like, okay, this is what's happening here. I had higher quantity, but I didn't have the quality. So do you know how to go ahead and get more people to talk to?
Maybe try calling at different times.
Yeah. So if you call at certain times during the day, your that significantly impacts um, your pickup rates. So the PPA is actually the first software that Synergy developed before MCAT. The first software that Synergy developed like 32 years ago, 31, 32 years ago. And so I can't wait to get that up and going. Shuaib's and his team are working on that and get that up and going for all four of you because the the insight that will give you all and how you can look at yourself and look at the other three and learn from one another is really really cool. Nice. um Becky, your numbers from Friday or last week? You're on mute.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry. Well, I put my Saturday in because I did that,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
I had two calls, or one call Saturday and then that business or so my numbers are like 30% or whatever.
Okay.
30%,
So do
but
I
I'm,
go in future boot camp days, do I go into the PPA? Do I go into the PPA and the pressure point analysis? And do I show you guys how every one of the steps, how to improve those steps and what those steps mean and how to leverage those steps? So it's just like working out physically. If you do 10 reps of something, anyway, push ups, bench press, anything, and yeah, the weight on it, the pressure on it, I can only do 10 reps. But somehow you push through and do two more reps. Physically, what do those two reps do as compared to the first 10 that you did?
They're more effective than the first 10.
Yeah. You'll get more benefit out of 2 than you will of 10. And the same thing is true in sales. It's why at the end of the day, at the end of a calling period, whatever, you always do 1 or 2 more. And then you might always do, I can do 1 or 2 more. That's the benefit of a workout coach, because they'll push you to always do more. But not always, right? Because they know, like, you don't want to rip something or tear something. And so you can hurt yourself. Same thing is true. But the mind is like that 1 extra call. And then what you're looking for is the mind wants to be lazy. So the mind doesn't want you to go ahead and make that 1 extra call, that 1 extra call, that 1 extra call, that 1 extra call, because if it remembers the success of that, it can't be lazy in the future. The mind wants, not sure why, but the mind wants to be lazy, and you discipline yourself not to be like that. That's what a police officer does. It's what a EMT does. It's what a firefighter does. It's what an airplane pilot does. All of those, because lives are at risk, their own lives and the lives of other people. And so that 1 extra call can mean everything. Excellent. Kenny, how about your Saturday or Friday and then last week?
I don't have a percentage.
Okay. So then if you don't have a percentage, you go by gut feel instinct.
I guess it will be 25%, 25 to 30%.
Okay. So you got to get, if you want, you look at the 2.5 million and you say, am I going to be happy with 25% of that? And so what you do have a percentage of your goal, and that's what Action Vision does, is bring it down into the actions, and you have it, but that's only on a monthly basis. The PPA will bring it down into a daily basis, into a weekly basis, slice and dice it in different things. And so you working with Becky and Nora and Shuaib to make sure that the PPA works for you guys, because you guys in construction sales, physical sales rather than mental sales, which is what Becky and Nora are in. They're playing in that world. You're playing in another world. You want to make sure that the PPA works for you and Luke.
Uh-huh.
Nice. Luke, how about you?
I'd say 30%.
Okay. Same thing, same advice as Kenny. So you guys want to be, over the weekend, I would go ahead and encourage you guys. So you guys have all been raised that you work, I don't know, 6 hours a day. You work hard when you're working 6 hours a day, but you work 6 hours a day, have the whole afternoon off, you have weekends off, you have holidays off, you have a bunch of other days off. So you're building your mental and emotional stamina, going back to Ford versus Ferrari. If a man loves what he does, he's the luckiest man in the world. He never has to work a day in his life. So what is it that you all love about what you're doing? So if it feels like you're not even working, like I work 18 hours on Christmas, it was like one of the best Christmases I've ever had, because I love what I do. I've been doing it for 34 years, and I've been business people that are burned out at 15 years. How can you get burned out? It's easy. You just don't love what you do. Is that just because it happens, or is it a choice? All right, Nora, what else you got?
So with the Action Vision sale on Saturday, it's crazy how that whole thing played out. So my question is, because we did a couple things different than we've ever done before, so do we next time do the exact same thing, or do we try something different to see if something's better?
You go ahead and mostly do the same thing.
Okay.
So mostly you do the same thing. You say, what really worked? And so this is the Army casualty principle in reverse. So you go, so the Army casualty principle is, that's with Amy. Like we got the sale, got it paid, and then she canceled. Like, what? But we didn't let that slow you and I down. Like, no, we're steeled. We're going to do it. Like it's going to happen. Boom. And so you do mostly. So having, if there's testimonies, and then if there's other things. So what are the things we're pretty sure about? And because you're going to have an easier time probably in a way changing your presentation than I am. Why is that?
You've been doing it for a lot longer.
Yeah, long time, decades. So it's hard for me. Like if I think, what did I do differently? I mean, I know that there's more action vision, subtle things throughout the whole thing. There's subtle things about if you're chosen, if we invite you in. I don't know if I did that so much. Oh, the 1 to 10 with the husband and the wife.
Yeah.
So in sales, and so here, when you go ahead and present the solution, and you hope to get a yes, right? You hope you go present the solution, they get a yes. But if you present the solution and you get a no or a wait or anything, especially a no is actually better than a wait. Like I'm going to do it later. Anybody know why?
No.
It closes loops.
Yeah. Because a no is a no. Now you can go after it strong, but a wait, and often people tell you they're going to wait when they really mean no. But a wait is, do you push or don't you? And a no, you have nothing to lose by and large. So what you do is if you go ahead and get a no or a wait, you have to go back to asking questions. So what I did is, and we're doing a lot in the Amish. There's a lot of amiable, a lot of analytic. They're not going to tell you the truth. You're going to get a feeling that they're going to go forward and then they won't go forward. You got sleepers underneath. You got like an iceberg. So in an iceberg, there's a tip, and you're like, okay, I can go by that iceberg. What you don't realize is it's 10 times bigger under the water than it is over. So that's what sunk. That's one of the factors in the Titanic is they saw an iceberg and they didn't realize how big the iceberg was underneath underneath the water. And so that's where an understanding of personalities, and then the power and how much power there is and getting them both in there. And so, the wife was at a 5, and so typically you're not going to get a sale when the wife is at a 5. But I think because we asked the 5, got it out in the open, and I didn't like, okay, it's a 5. Why? What is it? What's going on? And walking through that. And that gave the husband the power to go ahead and know what his wife was thinking. So she didn't submarine it. We were able to address it. So what you do is when somebody says no, you go, help me understand that. Just like Tom Kuntz, where people are saying no and they think it's an NO, but I'm not hearing NO. I'm hearing KNOW. If they knew what I knew, they would be saying yes. Not just because it is. Like maybe if I knew what they knew, no would be no, which is fine. We just need to know which no is it. So I need to be more curious, and I need to go back to the questions. There's something that's missing in the questions. Either I'm not communicating well, I'm not communicating well, or I'm not listening well. So in this here on the screen, like you want to go ahead and swing back. You want to swing back and ask questions and listen better than you did the first time, maybe. So a lot of sales doesn't happen because of poor communication, poor listening, either on their part or your part or both parts. And that hurts everybody. Nice. Anything else, Nora, you got?
Not right now.
Becky, what else you got?
So that sale on Saturday, what made, like, how did you, or Maybe what made him go from thinking about it a few days to call me back in an hour, and then he called back in like 5 minutes.
Right. Right. I think it's because I went ahead and showed deep respect for the wife. And I asked 1 to 10, how would you ask the wife 1 to 10, how would you rate? And I asked her first because I felt that she wasn't as strong as him. And
And
so
how did
what's
you make that? How did you make that connection that she wasn't as
part of
strong?
its experience where the woman's going to be tend to be the woman's going to be more tend to be it's my money. She looks at her husband's and the business as her money. It's her money. So he's thinking is I got to invest back in. She's thinking we haven't done that before. It hasn't worked and I've lost my money. It's hers and the kid's money. So
Right.
part of its experience, part of it's her energy, you know. And then, the other thing, there was a lot of emphasis on the wife and the kids and the Action Vision plan. Lot more than probably 100% more focus on that. 100% more focus on that. I was really heavy on, time, hey, do you just want to work, 50 hours? How about 40 hours? Would you like 40 hours? So she got to see how it was more beneficial to her and the kids.
Right.
And so then when I asked her that, I was able to go ahead. And so I gave her honor and respect. And then he's not sure because in the past, a wife says, yeah, sure, go for it. Doesn't work out. Then he pays the price. So he's a little skittish, probably. He's a little skittish, like my wife says yes, but does she mean yes when she says yes? Because she switched it in the past. So I have to be very, very cautious because if I don't go ahead and make sure, so she could be yes, but he thinks she's no because of past experience. So when
Right.
she goes ahead and they talked, and we don't need to wait for an hour, let's just call them back and let's just move forward. Oh, I also did a bit less pressure on bit less push on the leader and the advanced and leader and the executive. Did you notice that, Nora?
Yeah.
In part because of their financial situation, and in part because of our past experiences. Where if you sell them on the leader or the executive, if you sell them on the leader or the executive and they can't afford it, they'll often not go down to the lower one because you didn't sell them on that.
Right. Well, I think with him being mostly by himself, I think that was very wise too.
Yeah, I think that's the best solution, and that's the challenge. It's not black or white. On the previous call with Kenny and Luke, they were talking about that same type of thing, and maybe we can get Patrick on here to talk about integrity and pricing. And so how do you do that? How do you do that? And when you sell something that's substantially more or even a little more, how do you make sure that you're giving more value? Like, yeah, good. Kenny, what else you got?
Um, so as far as it relates to the human part, the resources, when I talk to people, like a group of people, I can ask or I can talk to everybody that's there, if they're looking for a job or if they know somebody. Um, but I don't know how to get into the people that they know.
Yeah, that might be decision makers, right?
Or even, and maybe not the decision makers, but other people that they know that might be looking for a job
Gotcha.
or
Okay.
looking for
Assistant
something like
principal.
that.
Yeah, gotcha. So that gets down into box here. Box, what is that? Box 16. Okay, so let's address two things. First is going to be other decision makers. when you're asking questions, what are the three elements? What are the three elements that you have in three parts of somebody making a buying decision? What do you need? Three things.
No, this is more in the
Yeah, I know that. I
hiring.
know that. I'm going to get that.
Okay.
So going to
Got
the
it.
other one, what are the three things you need?
Can they afford it? The need of the product and sense of urgency.
So you need to know, and the order is really important. So are they the decision maker? Are they the decision maker? Do they have the ability to invest into the product? And then sense of urgency. And we could do a whole course on those three things. So the way you find out, it's similar to, the way you find out, you just say, so if you decided to move forward with this kind of, this garage, you're putting a garage, in, or this, pole barn, if you were to decide to move forward, would there be anybody else in your life that would be, a spouse or mom or dad or brother or sister? Would there be other people that would be involved in that decision, or you'd run it by them? So that's how you find out. You just ask them in that way. Here, it's very similar if you want to find their sphere of influence. So the average person on the street knows 250 people. The average business owner knows 5,500 people, over 5,500 people. So what you do is you ask them social questions. Like, do you belong to any types of other organizations, associations? What district, what church do you go to? Do you participate in community based? What do you do, as fun and hobbies? So what you're doing is you're looking at where do they hang out? What do you do for fun? Who do you do that for fun with? So you find out their hobbies. The McKay 66, I don't think we've gone through that. The McKay 66 is how to swim with the sharks without being eaten alive. A book, great book. So here's the McKay 66 questions. So, it's crazy. We could do a whole series on this. So they go, you name, nickname, title. You don't get it all in the first time. You go ahead and build what they call a dossier on the person. You're just getting 2-3 pieces of information. So, company name and home address, telephone, you get all this, birth date, hometown. Yep, you get the weight, the height, the weight, outstanding physical. You get all of this stuff. You don't ask them this. You go ahead, you don't ask them their height or weight. That's just weird. You go ahead and guess at it. And then you go, are they balding, great conditions, arthritis? Like, you go deep into it. Like Kenny and Luke would like, well, all of you, the McKay said, how to swim with the sharks without being eaten alive. So I read that when I was probably, I don't know, 21, 22. Then you go education. And then you go family. Then you go business background. And again, you're building a dossier, a profile on them. You're getting pieces of information, very intentional, very specific. Then you go ahead and get into special interests. Then you get into lifestyle. So, does the customer drink? If yes, what and how much? If no, offended by other people drinking. Does customer smoke? If no, object to others. Favorite places to have lunch. Anybody know what, Luke is thinking right now?
No, what is Luke thinking?
Luke's thinking, this is interesting. Could I use this, in dating? Because when you look at all of this stuff, and again, you got to be subtle. You can't just come out. You can't just say, do you drink? Like, what do you drink? Do you have an effect? You can't, you have to be subtle in what you're doing, but you'll go deep into it. Customer and you. What moral and ethical considerations are involved when you work with the customer? So this stuff here, I mean, it goes in. So these are the 66 questions that the McKay 66 has. It's right in the book. And so he lists that out in the book. And so then there's some additional questions, for business. So there's life vision stuff that we've added to it. So there's some additional questions that we added in addition to the K66. Oh, the more you know, from a spiritual perspective, I believe the more you know about God, the more you know you don't know. Like, you always should be humble because then you're learning. Like, I've been married to my wife for 41 years. The more I know about my wife, the more I know about women, the more I know I don't know. That's what keeps me curious. That's what keeps me learning. That's what keeps me humble. That keeps me growing. So there's a whole lot more when you talk about questions. There's so much. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. So here you're finding out the social stuff probably isn't even in there. Like that could be added. Like, how do you go ahead and find out what do they like to do? Their hobbies, their interests. That's where the life passion circle. What are you passionate about? Luke, what else you got?
This morning we were talking about the how different personalities put value on different stuff. So selling to someone, two different people, they'll value, they can have the same 10 factors in a decision and they'll value different stuff. How do you know what they value or?
Sure. Before we do that, what is the true cost of, procrastination? Like these 30 videos plus videos, these things changed my life. Every one of these videos, when I watched them, they changed my life. This one is one of the most significant ones. So right now, you're roughly 3% of the way through the year. You don't want to get behind. The bigger the goal, the more you can't get behind on your goal. You have to go ahead. Like, I was using softball. Like, if you're going in the last, inning and you're 3 points behind, 3 runs behind, you're like, okay, I can catch this. If you're 20 runs behind, you're probably not going to win. So the bigger the goal, the harder, smarter you got to work, the more you got to look into the future. So the procrastination video is really, really powerful. Going to the personality question. So the analytic values, accuracy and an order. Well, let's start off the lowest frequency, which is the amiable. The amiable values harmony, peace, getting along. They won't buy from you if there's conflict. They're often married to an analytic. So if you're selling to a husband and wife, that's a complex sale because what turns the husband on can turn the wife off. What's going to sell the husband will actually not sell the wife. What sells the wife won't actually sell the husband. It's like and the husband and wife, husband typically cannot sell to the wife, wife cannot sell to the husband. Wife has a better job selling to the husband than the husband has to the wife. You don't want to trust the husband to know how to sell to the wife. You want her there because he doesn't know how to do it. So the amiable, they're going to harmony, peace, getting along, the connection. That's what's going to sell them. Next higher frequency is going to be the analytic. And what sells them is accuracy. Everything's going to be right. The bid's going to come in, the quality of the work, everything's going to be good there. And so are you accurate, not pushy? Do you care about it? This one here is going to be long-term relationship. This one here. So these people here tend to congregate. The analytic tends to hang out with other analytics, like accountants hang out with accountants, engineers with engineers. So analytics tend to hang out with other analytics. And if you can get into one, they can refer a lot. And often everybody goes to the analytic for the referral because the analytic vets them, makes sure they do high quality work. They're priced well. They do good quality. They follow through. So the analytic can refer you a lot of business. They're paid to work with often, but they can refer you a lot of business. The next higher frequency is the expressive, and that's going to be fun and exciting. That's going to be like you're fun to work with, funny to work with, you're exciting to work with. It's just neat. And the driver, they're going to be motivated, simply put, more than one thing, but simply put on goals. The amiable kind of they really have to know, like, and trust you to work with you. The driver, they don't. If you can help them, if they believe you can help them reach their goals, they can dislike you a lot. So that's just the short version. Anybody else have anything else? All right, so we're in week 5. And so we're tightening up on the presentation, or on the meeting. You guys lead with certain things. So the meeting might get to where 10% of it's the same structure. You're going through boom, boom, boom. Or it might get to be 20% or 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And so you get that. And so what we want to do is we want to move into, how do you do group selling? How do you have systems do the selling for you? Like one of the team members, she sold a business x-ray without me. That never happens. It just doesn't. What she used is she used the booklet to do it. So could that work for Nora and Becky too? Could they leverage that? Like with Becca, if Becca gave out those booklets, if we got a bunch of those booklets to Becca, the 2 booklets, could she go ahead and actually just do it wherever she hangs out? Interesting. And then how to use like Coffee Connections, how to use podcasts, how do you sell in mass? How do you clone yourself to where you're actually selling when you're hanging out with family or friends or kids or having fun, or you're, snowboarding, or you're, hunting, or, you're playing pickleball. Like, how do you turn everything you're doing into sales? So we're going to get into that. That talks about leverage, another great course that you ought to go through for sure. If you have any questions, connect with the individual who invited you to participate. Always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.